Welcome to the Wizards of Ecom, your no-fluff playbook for online success. Each episode is fully packed with actionable tactics you can implement in your business right now. Take your life to a higher level and excel in your online success. It's time to work on you and your business. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Wizards of Ecom. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. On today's episode, we have an exciting guest, Robyn Johnson, the founder of Marketplace Blueprint and host of the Marketplace Blueprint podcast. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's always fun to get to share my Amazon nerdy-a-disc because, most people just don't want to talk about Amazon as much as I want to talk about Amazon.
I love that. I almost hear challenge accepted because I'm the same way. In today's episode, we're not just going to talk about shopping on Alexa, but we're going to talk about the important differences between voice search and traditional search, as well as how to optimize for Alexa search. I read probably the best article I've read to date outside of the Alexa dev stuff, which makes you want to watch paint dry. This was exciting and probably the best explanation I have ever seen to date on the Seller Labs blog, which I will leave a link to the show notes because we're going to reference it throughout the entire episode. I've even taken the liberty, my working title of today's episode, How to Optimize for Alexa Voice Search, is the same as the title of that blog. I guess I have to check with Jeff and them and everybody and you to make sure that's okay. And I really impressed, had to say, wow, everybody listening to this that knows me, I've been an early adopter of, flash briefings and custom skills and how to make this work with products and just voice search as a whole. So I wasn't ready. I saw it pop up in my email. I wasn't ready. I loved it. A side question: how does one get to write for the Seller Labs blog? You have to be pretty important.
Well, I write for a couple of other publications. So Jeff and I know each other from speaking at the same conferences. He's heard me speak. We've had lots of beers together. But I also write for Search Engine Journal. I write for SEMrush and Sellerly, which is a division of SEMrush. So Jeff's seen my articles for other things. So I think that if you're looking to start to do more guest blogs on bigger venues, then it really does start like writing your own and starting to do some guest blogs here and there, and then being willing to put yourself out there in the beginning. Jeff invited me to do this one because I actually did a similar article about voice search on Search Engine Journal in 2017. So this is kind of like the updated version.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I'm scared to touch that anymore because there's so many questions that I have personally. I've been reached out to, I guess it's a guest blog or guest write on Helium 10 and stuff, I guess because of things I've mentioned on the podcast, but writing eludes me. It sounds super sexy. It's exciting, but it seems very time consuming. So I guess in another podcast or maybe off recording, I'd love to know how you do that with everything else you do.
I have a whole process I could share with you.
I want it. I really do. And so far, what Jeff said is absolutely true. She goes, "You're going to love Robyn. She's awesome." And so far, that seems to be the case.
That's wonderful. I always like making a good impression.
Cool. We've not had the opportunity to meet before this, obviously. Tell me, what is your role in the Amazon seller space and why do you love what you do?
So over a decade ago, I had not an entrepreneurial bone in my body. I never had a lemonade stand. I didn't like selling wrapping paper or chocolates for the school. I didn't like any of that. I worked in the least capitalistic employment opportunity that's probably available. I was a youth pastor at a little church, and I loved it. And my son got really sick. And when you work for the church, they say the benefits are out of this world because the pay is not. And I really needed to make some money or we were not going to make it. And so if we could just make an extra $100 a month, man, that would just change our world. And so I started buying things in garage sales, selling them on Craigslist, then moved to eBay, then moved to Amazon. We built from $100, we built to $1 million in just about 3 years ago. And this was a decade ago when you couldn't just get to $1 million like that. And then probably about 8 years ago, I started coaching high volume Amazon sellers. Have had the honor and privilege of working with some of the best sellers in their space, really focusing on increasing profitability, helping them develop systems, helping them to build out a team so that they could scale further. And then about five or 6 years ago, I started my agency. We started out really small, and we just kind of rebranded that agency under Marketplace Blueprint. And so we get now we get to not only work with some really awesome high volume sellers and helping them grow their business. But, our main focus is the agency where we run the advertising, do the listing optimization from brands like really small to brands that were on Shark Tank within the last couple of years, to brands that are in every Walmart, every Lowe's, every Home Depot, every Ace Hardware, depending on their category. So we've gotten to work with all sorts of different kinds of companies. And I love getting to see how Amazon can transform the lives of individuals and also these amazing businesses, and some that are really established and have this really great retail footprint, and how we can make such a big difference with what we've learned over the last decade.
That's super impressive. I looked at your website too. I really love it. There was 2 sites actually that I saw, and one of them said we've now, like, I love, there's like a static thing referring to Marketplace Blueprint, which I thought was super clean, and I don't know, I might model it. I might model it one day. It really was amazing. So is it safe to say that you hit that $100 extra per month goal?
Yeah, pretty quickly. I actually quit my job within from the time I started selling on Amazon, I quit my job about 3 months after that. So, and I'm not a big risk person. I am a tiny risk person. And so that was a really big swing for us. We waited forever to have my husband come join the business, but now, we both work from each other 6 feet apart. And I get to spend all day, every day with him. I've got an amazing team of people all over the world that help us. And not only that, my stepmom, who's from China, she sells on Amazon. She does about $750,000 a year, and then my 70-year-old aunt does about $500,000 a year on Amazon. And I have a cousin that sells on Amazon. So we've kind of transformed the whole family. So on Thanksgiving dinner, we might be talking about Amazon policies.
Are you still an active seller?
I am, but we're really slowing that down because we found some of the bigger brands, they get a little itchy when they find out that we're selling too. So we made sure all of our clients know that, we're selling the existing wholesale accounts that we already have. Occasionally I'll do RA to sell on eBay. But the agency is much more profitable. I spend it's more of what I love to do. And it's just everything. I think it's like, I feel really great about where we are right now.
Awesome. Now that we have your creds like completely established, because those are like triple platinum creds right there. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. Like, what I want to, in my mind, I'm trying to like not get too ahead of anyone listening to this. So I have this idea on how we can take it to where if somebody doesn't even know what voice search is, we can take them from there and we can get all the way through into optimizing a listing for voice search. So in your own words, what is voice search and who are the top players?
Okay, so let's start with voice search. And so voice search is anything where you're going to be talking in. So voice search is not limited to Alexa. It's not limited to Google Home. Xbox has it. Siri has it. Anything where you're talking in to an AI and that AI spits something back, that's going to be kind of considered voice search. Now, when you're thinking about, well, should I focus on voice search? Should I focus on this? If you come from the Google background or you've been to a lot of like Google SEO kind of conferences, PubCon is a really great conference if you're looking to get more into that. A lot of times they're going to talk about intent of the user, right? So the intent of search. So the intent of search of somebody who's using voice search on Xbox is different than the intent of somebody who's maybe looking at Alexa. So if you think about what you ask Siri versus what you ask Alexa, usually Siri, we're asking directions. We're asking her to maybe, show us this person or who is this person. We're looking for facts. With Alexa, there's a lot of that as well, but then people also can shop. And what is also exciting is Amazon has been slowly expanding out the process of Alexa, the ability, the access points. So there's the Amazon Show, which has a screen, and they're testing some glasses that are out that are kind of like the equivalent of Google glasses for Alexa. They're putting it in people's cars. So there's going to be more and more opportunity. This is something, whenever Amazon's heavily investing in something or it looks like they're growing something, I always want to make sure that I'm watching it. Even if I'm not participating, we want to be watching to see how and when this will impact your products.
Very well said. So I think I know the answer here, but I just want to say it. So you do believe that Alexa is the leader in voice search?
Yeah, there have been, so a lot of the studies that are around this as far as user adoption, they're all a little fuzzy, right? Because, Amazon doesn't say we've sold X number of Alexas. Usually, if we're going to get that data, it usually comes out in the letter to the shareholders. If you're an Amazon seller, you really want to be reading Jeff Bezos's letters to the shareholders every year, really valuable stuff. But a lot of the stuff that's out there say that Amazon has a very significant lead over Google Home. Google Home is the next most popular. Of course, everybody has Siri, or whatever the Android equivalent of that is. But when it comes to searching for products, so whether you have a business like a restaurant, or if you are selling physical products on Amazon, then Alexa and Google Home are really the primary sources that you want to look at. And Alexa has a much, much larger footprint. I want to say it was like 70% like a year or two ago. I haven't seen any recent data within the last 18 months, but I also I haven't, I can't remember if I looked at that or if there just wasn't any available.
So Amazon Alexa is just crushing it, massive footprint over everybody else when it comes to searching for products, similar to Amazon being the largest product search engine there is. But when it comes to non-product stuff, perhaps just regular, I'm looking for information to prove my wife wrong about who was the actor on blank, the Google Home may still take that. I think I read in your article, though, correct me if I'm wrong, it could be another one. Again, I read a bunch of this stuff, is that there's a cool hookup if you have say an offline business through Yext that
Yes.
can index your businesses. So it looks like they want to play in that arena as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so Yext and Yelp is kind of how you get your like brick and mortar retail on there, and I think that is really important now that they're putting this into cars. And so you do want, there is an Alexa adapter that you can use even if you have like a 2001 Chevy Tahoe. You can still probably get this thing. You have to connect it to your hotspot on your Wi-Fi, but the really cool thing I want to highlight about Alexa is that we know that Prime users, people who are Prime members, spend significantly more than non-Prime members on Amazon. And people who have Alexa are going to be super users for the most part. Like I'm a super user on Amazon. I look at Amazon before I look at other things. I have an Alexa in almost every room in my house. And the other really exciting thing is that this younger generation that is just starting to come into earning their own money, they are very digitally native and they naturally gravitate towards voice search. So when my daughter needs to know how to spell something, when she needs to know what the capital of California is, she doesn't go to Google to type it in. She asks Alexa naturally as her first step.
And you feel the reason why she asks is because, I mean, not calling your daughter lazy, but like, it's a lazier way to go about it. It requires less effort. I could just verbalize it instead of pulling something out and texting it. Is that correct? Is that fair?
So yeah, we were kind of conditioned in school, like you got to go someplace and look something up, right?
Dictionary.
They're used to having this just like in the air all the time, right? So it's natural for them. So as we see buying habits evolve, you're going to see more there's going to be more share of voice search because more people are getting more comfortable and the technology is getting better. I already find myself asking Siri for help more often than I did 5 years ago because she was pretty worthless 5 years ago. I had to be really careful how I said who I wanted him to call because I might end up calling somebody I didn't want to call, so it has gotten a lot better. And Alexa is the way they've been kind of working that voice search algorithm makes it, they're all about customer experience. And so they really have been fine tuning that. I was at a digital summit series event and they had somebody from Alexa talking about how they kind of look at the queries and what queries fail. And they use that to kind of, provide different iterations to make that voice search better.
You said something interesting, a little aside off topic, was that it sounded like you were cheating on Alexa with Siri. So you use more than one voice device or brand throughout the day. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think you'll find that most people do, right? So, you've got your phone and then you've got Alexa, and I use Alexa for different things. I use Alexa to turn my lights off and on in my house when we go to bed, to lock my door, to set my alarm, and to do my grocery list. So, to move for me to because Amazon's been building out all of these other things, these functionalities that work with Alexa. So Ring works with Alexa, all of these different things. Uh, it would be if I wanted to switch to Google, it would be more painful now because I've bought all the devices that are compatible with Alexa. Now, some of them are compatible with both, but it wouldn't even occur to me to switch because my whole world is based off of this platform, right? And and my sister's very much the opposite. She doesn't, she hates Alexa. She doesn't want them listening in. I'm like, well, they already know what size underwear I buy and how often I order vitamin D3. So why not know,
Right?
what music we listen to? So
Absolutely. I love the recommendations I get. I guess it would be different for me if it was totally off base. And then I'd be like, this is obnoxious. Stop annoying me. But if you think it's time for me to get more soap, you probably know better than me. And thank you for the reminder for free. Um, something I want to touch on two different things because I really feel like voice before we like dive into optimizing listings and stuff like that. I think it's pretty critical to understand just the nuances of voice search and how search will be affected, period. What I imagine, like if I'm searching for something on Google, I feel like I use the minimal amount of words necessary to bring up results, but I may have a tendency to talk more since I'm not typing it. Like, how do you feel that's going to impact search, if at all, with voice search?
So I've been quarantine dreaming with my dad that we're going to be able to go to Yellowstone this summer. So I've been trying to like identify like, we're going to like do like a trip, up the coast. And so when I'm on Google, I type in San Fran to Yellowstone trip drive. And that's about it, right? And then when I'm asking Alexa, I'm hoping I don't wake her up. When I ask Alexa, I usually say, Alexa, how far is it from San Francisco to Yellowstone when I'm driving? Those queries on voice search tend to be a lot longer and they tend to be more in the form of a question because even though we know it's a computer, we do tend to interact with it a little bit more like it is like a being, like sentient being. So we're going to ask them for that rather than, with Google, I feel like we come in and we demand things, we like, flight prices to San Fran. That's what we want to know, where we have longer questions. And so it is going to be when you're thinking about voice search, you want to be thinking about question queries. And if you're using a Google tool like SEMrush, their keyword tool will help you bring up questions. And then Answer the Public is also an awesome tool and will bring up a ton of questions that can help you kind of expand out your keyword research.
Well, you just brought up two tools that are close to my heart. I think we have a ton in common, so we're definitely going to stay connected. How does that impact what you just said? Like, how does that impact someone's keywords? So somebody that's been successfully selling for a while, they feel if they know their keywords that they have dialed in and they're ranking to the top of page one. Does that just get thrown out the window when it comes to voice search? Because no one's going to go, we'll use a friend of mine, Scott Volker's garlic press, right? So no one's just going to go, Alexa, garlic press. I hope I don't wake mine up either, but like Alexa, garlic press, it's not going to happen like that. So even if garlic press was my main keyword, like what impact do you see happening there? Is this going to be a whole new keyword set?
There are going to be some words and some conjugations and the way that and like the formulation of the question. So it's going to really play more in advertising than it will in organic. So if you're new to Amazon optimization, when we're optimizing for organic, we look at single keywords to help build those keyword phrases. When we're looking at ads, we're looking at white chocolate fudge together. But when you're doing your listing, you can put white here and, fudge in the bullets and chocolate. You can have them separately. And then the conversions caused by advertising help the phrase rank better. So when you're looking at these questions, you want to think about, it helps you to identify things for advertising. And then also sometimes when somebody comes in with a question, they might come out with a different conjugation of the verb. So if you're doing proper keyword research on Amazon, that should all naturally happen. If you're doing something where you're kind of optimizing for something that's maybe not in the Amazon marketplace, then that's when you really want to think about the questions and flesh those out a little bit more. I had something really important and poignant I wanted to say, but it's completely escaped me. So we'll see if it comes back.
No, we'll circle back to it. That's fine. Yeah. Let's get into a little optimization. And what, think of a way to say this is going to make the most sense. Like okay, how about that? What does it mean to optimize for Alexa voice search to you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I know it, but 10 being the most important, how important do you feel it is for Amazon sellers to understand how to optimize for Alexa voice search?
I think it's really important for you to understand how voice search works. Voice search on Amazon is a little bit like, remember when you were like 10 and you got invited to Timmy's party and Timmy's mom was like, oh, we're going to play a game. And she put a little blindfold on somebody and she spun them around and it was pin the tail on the donkey. Voice search on Amazon is a little bit like pin the tail on the donkey because Amazon doesn't really tell us a whole lot. So we know certain things because they made this announcement in 2015 or because this badge came out around the same time. Amazon is not like Google. There's no John Muir to come tell us, hey, this is what you need to do, or no, that's not a ranking factor. Stop doing that. So what we can look at when we're looking at voice search on Amazon, those Amazon choice badges, which can be really confusing to new sellers. It doesn't mean that Amazon has actually like reviewed and chosen those products. It means that for that specific voice query, so when it says Amazon choice for, garlic press, that means if somebody does just say, Alexa, order me a garlic press, then she will order that. That's going to be the first option that she's going to offer you, unless you've already ordered something like that in the past. So with voice search on Amazon, if I've ordered shampoo before, and then Alexa's going to know I like this Paul Mitchell tea tree shampoo, right? And so if I ask her to order shampoo, she's going to order the thing that I ordered in the past, and she's going to offer that first. If I don't have an order history, then she's going to go with the Amazon choice. So to maximize your opportunities, you want to maximize the number of Amazon choice badges that you have.
So that you can pick up more of the voice purchases.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, it's like, how we joke about like the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Amazon search.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's even more significant on voice search because she only really offers 3 options. So if you're not in one of those 3 options, somebody's going to have to go to their computer to actually continue that search. Then you're right back with regular traditional algorithm, right? So you want to be in that first 3. And the only way for us to really know that is to monitor the number of badges. And if you have really important keywords that are really essential or really highly relevant to your product, then sometimes it's appropriate to do a ranking campaign, even if that campaign isn't necessarily profitably independently, to make sure that you get to that product or to that Amazon choice badge. And even more so if you're a consumable. So if you sell vitamins, you sell shampoo, you sell, gluten-free Pop-Tarts, something that people are going to order over and over again, you could look at in advertising and in brand analytics, you can see new to brand if you're the only person on that brand selling. And you could say, look at this campaign when we launched it and identifying if you're getting more new to brand folks. And if that's the case, because they're going to have access to subscribe and save and the voice search, you can overall increase kind of that auto ship and increase your overall repeat orders.
So if I've ordered a garlic press before, say the OXO brand of garlic press, and it breaks like almost all of my OXO brand stuff does. And I was at, my in-laws' house and they have the Robyn Johnson garlic press, but you're not in the top 3 when I just search for garlic press. How about if I search for, Alexa, show me, or I want to buy the Robyn Johnson garlic press? How is that going to happen?
So if I'm not choice for garlic press, but I am the choice for Robyn Johnson garlic press, then if somebody queries Robyn Johnson garlic press, then I will win that search bid, right? Because the search term that customer spoke matches the thing that I'm Amazon choice for. So there are, so that's kind of where a lot of times this is the mistake that we see, and I actually tend to see it a little bit more on mid-sized brands than I do on the small and the large brands. But there's a temptation for you to look at, like if I'm selling a beach bag, to try to focus on ranking for bag or for beach bag. Well, if I'm a locking beach bag, somebody who's looking for a beach bag or a bag, that's not really the most relevant customer. They're not going to spend the extra $50 or whatever it is to sell my locking beach, to get my locking beach bag. So it's better for you to focus on highly relevant search terms and those longer queries that are really relevant than to just focus on the really narrow thing like bag, because somebody who's looking for a bag could be looking for a trash bag. So when you're looking at, I really want to prioritize Amazon choice and identifying which phrases you really want to focus your efforts on trying to do that. Try to stay away from vanity, like I want to be number one in this thing, and start to say, what is the most likely way that my most relevant, my best customers, what's the query that they're going to be using? Or what's the query that, or what's the search terms in Amazon advertising that is getting me the best ROAS or the best ACOS? And really kind of start focusing on those and making sure that you're ranking organically for those.
Okay. That's amazing. Again, you're just like shining now. I'm like, this is the stuff I was reading in the article that was just like blew me away. Let me touch on this. So somebody searches for garlic press. The Amazon's choice offering gets offered first because they don't have a history of buying the garlic press. How do you come up as the second and third for that search if you don't have Amazon's choice?
So we don't know exactly what the criteria is for it, but I would guess it would be like Amazon's choice, we first placed. In second and third, you're not going to know if you're second and third. So it's kind of, this is when it comes back to pin the tail on the donkey, right? There's no, there are some third-party tools that will start to tell you like, like share of voice search. But that data is it's kind of fuzzy because we don't have a lot of transparency into that data. I'm hoping that soon, because Amazon is starting to really look at voice search, they'll start to give us more data on that. But right now, it's just working towards voice search. Some things that you can look at is, where are you ranking for different keywords and trying to rank in the top 3 for your most important keywords. But I want you to just take a little grain of salt, because with keyword ranking, there's an issue that is not always addressed by the tools. And so if you're in a different browser, if you're in a different location, you can end up in a different keyword ranking position. So even if I'm looking on Chrome and then I'm looking at Safari, the product ordering will be different. And sometimes even the indexing is different. So don't get so obsessed with I'm number 3 and I need to get to number 2. I usually tell clients, let's focus on trying to be in the top 10. And, let's make sure we're driving that. And let's make sure that, we're really protecting those keyword terms with not only an offensive, but a defensive strategy. But let's not get so obsessed in exactly where we rank, because it's something that's changing constantly. So it's just when did somebody capture the data. And some of these tools, they'll pull up keyword ranking when you search it, but it's really data that might be a day, it might be a week old. Some of the tools don't even tell you how old that data was, how long ago that data was scraped. So if you're like, well, I ran advertising for 3 days and now I want to see how that's going, you really need to identify whether that tool is pulling fresh data or if that's data that they scraped sometime over the last 14 days, because you could change your whole advertising strategy based off something that wasn't really based in reality.
Well, very, very well said. What I'm understanding now, I feel like I'm understanding that this means that branding is more important than ever. So you want someone to actually search for your brand and then what they're looking for, like the Robyn Johnson garlic press. Is that correct?
Yep. And also things, this is when you're creating your brand, this is also why this is important. So I had somebody, he came to me looking to potentially be a client, and let's pretend like I'm trying to think of something. So let's pretend he was a shower curtain and his brand was named Animals, right? And so he trademarked Animals for the shower curtain space. Well, it sounds impressive because it's like a big keyword, right? The problem is that for him to rank for his own brand, now he has to outrank everybody with a giraffe on their shower curtain, right? So you need to really think about your brand. We want to not too long, right? Because on regular text-based optimization, if your brand is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, you're going to use a bunch of your title to say your brand. So we don't want it excessively long. And then if it's something that is optimized for something else. So even if you could get the trademark for Apple cups, anytime somebody types in Apple cups, you're going to get all sorts of weird other things, right? Because you're going to have to outrank Apple and all the products that are designed to help Apple. So you're going to get Apple iPhone suction cups might rank above your product. And so you're going to have to spend a lot more to get to the top of that page. So when you're thinking about your product and your product development, think about your brand, and then also think about what you're going to call your product. Sometimes fanciful titles, if you have a lot of brand search and you have a lot of brand affinity, meaning you already have customers, you already have an email list, sometimes giving your product a unique name makes it easier for your customers to find your product on Google and on Amazon, right? So if I am Flibbity Gibbets, and I'm only Flibbity Gibbets, I need to optimize for the 50 ways people might spell that, right? But it's going to be easier for them to find that than just Tom's toothpaste, right? Because it's going to be, there's certain things that are more difficult. So I was talking to somebody who was friends with the SEO for Disney, and she was telling him, well, you have it so easy. I mean, how hard how hard is it for Disney to rank for Disney? And he's like, well, you try to rank for the word up. So you want to think about your titles and how that's going to be easy or hard to optimize. And of course, if you have an overall brand mission that works, and this is something that really fits your brand, then of course you can continue to do it. You just need to go into it saying, okay, I expect my ACOS or my ROAS to be a little bit lower or higher, a little worse when I'm first getting started, because I'm gonna have to get myself to that top position. It's gonna be more expensive than if I had a more unique branding.
Sweet. And what about like Alexa custom skills and flash briefings as far as that side of Alexa and voice? Have you had a chance to mess with that at all?
So some of the custom skills are awesome, and some of them are they're still being developed. So there's still a lot of room for Alexa, and I think there's a lot of room for developers to make a lot of money off of Alexa. There's still a lot of opportunity with the smart home areas, and with some of the my kids love to ask her to tell us Star Wars jokes and some of the weird things that they have. So there's also, but those don't always connect into the commerce side. So whenever I have somebody who's like, well, I'm going to go do this, you have to make sure you're keeping the main thing. So if your main bread and butter is your product, your garlic press, then you don't want to get so caught up in Alexa that you're neglecting the things that are like bread and butter tasks, like managing your ads, making sure your listings are optimized, making sure your inventory is there, managing your cash flow. Those, we don't want to get so distracted with the shiny object that we're forgetting what's most important.
Nice. And by the way, I don't know if you're a fan of Samuel L. Jackson, but there's like I think it's like $1.99 on Amazon. You can have the voice changed and all the interactions be of like Samuel L. Jackson. It even has a profanity setting. So if you want him to roast you or anything, it's hilarious.
That's not, I was wondering about the profanity because I still have young kids in the house, but there's a lot of really cool things, and Alexa, they're testing a bunch of different stuff. I don't know if your Alexa, do you ever get the yellow ring around your Alexa?
Yes.
So if you don't have Alexa, when you get that yellow ring, it's like Amazon usually wants us to leave a review for products, which is interesting. And the other thing that there is that, they've been testing like subscriptions to different kinds of things. So like there's been Amazon Music for a long time. But in the last 2 years or so, now Alexa wants me to pay extra for my sleep sounds to have one long sleep sound. So they're working on trying to integrate some upsells and stuff in here. So, kind of watch this space a little bit.
Cool. Robyn, is there anything that you feel I should have asked about Alexa, optimizing for Alexa voice search on our listings?
So I would, look at, there's a lot of tools that will tell you how many choice badges you have or which badges you have choice for. Make sure you're looking at that. Identify your most relevant keyword phrases, and make sure you have some sort of campaign that is designed to help you rank better for that. So, but the thing with Amazon Choice is it's not just who's number one in the rankings always gets Amazon Choice. In fact, sometimes it's very much not that. It also has to do with reviews. It has to do with availability. So making sure you're managing in stock levels. If you've been struggling with getting the buy box rotation, go back and read some articles that were written over the last year or two about geolocation and geo targeting. Geolocation is basically if all your inventory is in ONT, right? That's all in Ontario. And your customers in New York, you're going to rank lower, and because Amazon's going to say, I can't get this product to this customer fast enough. So not only do you need to have stock level, but you need to have enough stock that it's spread across the country so that customers can get your product quickly. So you need to manage your stock levels. You need to make sure you're managing reviews. If a big part of voice optimization is managing your customer experience. So you also need to be getting into voice of the customer at least once a week. If you're a larger brand, I'd recommend you getting in there twice a week. And anything that's not green, you need to address, not only for voice search, but this is, if once they start going into red, yellow, red, orange, you start to get into where your ASINs have been restricted. So, if you've ever been like, man, I wish Amazon would warn me before they would restrict my products, they are. It's in voice of the customer. And I will tell you, most of Amazon reporting is convoluted and hard to read. Voice of the customer is easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. It's great. So you want to get in there, you just click on you'll show the see details, and you can see all of the customer comments on your reviews and your product feedbacks that were negative. And want to keep that NX rate really, under 5%, under 3 would be better if it's a hard good. So make sure that you're kind of watching that and addressing those so that you don't have any products that go out, because if you do have a restricted product, of course, you're going to take several steps back in your ranking.
Awesome stuff, Robyn. A huge thank you for your time today. Voice search is an extremely hot topic of mine, and hearing all the gems you dropped, it's making me feel almost like a newbie when it comes to voice. So I'm super exhilarated. Can you take a moment to, let listeners know that the types of services you offer, because you definitely offer more than Alexa optimizations, as well as mention your podcast name and how people can stay connected with you?
Yeah, so we have an agency called Marketplace Blueprint, and in that agency, we do listing optimization and advertising. So some clients hire us to just do their listing optimization or to just do an audit of their ads to see how their current agency is doing. And then we do all the way up to full channel management, where we give you inventory restocks, we help you develop a strategy, we'll help you kind of identify potential new product opportunities, and also, as you're looking to package those, say, if you made this a half inch shorter, you'd save a whole bunch of money on your size tiers. So, but our specialty is really listing optimization and ads. We have a podcast called Marketplace Blueprint, and we also have a Facebook group called Amazon Listing Optimization Support, and so you can find us there. You want to follow me on social media, then go to marketplaceblueprint.com/follow. So marketplaceblueprint.com/follow. I have links in there to my author pages on SEA Search Engine Journal, so you can see the other articles I've written, ways to follow me on social media, and then a link to our Facebook group so that you can join us there if that's something that you're interested in.
Cool beans. Final question, and I'll let you get on with your day. Something I ask everybody that comes onto the show: what is your favorite book and why?
So I was telling you before, like, asking somebody their favorite book is kind of like asking what their favorite flower is, or, like out of a million flowers. There's so many good books that have really like fundamentally changed my life. But you're listening, the people who listen to your podcast, I feel, are a little bit more down the road, the advanced sellers. That's correct, right?
Sure.
So, once you reach past that $1 million, the book that made the biggest difference for me is called Rocket Fuel. Really great book. And then if you're a woman, Think and Grow Rich for Women is really awesome. And then if you're just a nerd, I love the Thrawn series, and then also The Hobbit. So
I love all of them. I've actually read those, so I approve that message. Huge thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Several things you said have my gears going on potentially future episodes, or perhaps imposing on your time to present to my group on some topics. Awesome. Huge thank you to Jeff for making the introduction, Jeff Cohen from Seller Labs. Have an awesome day, and I look forward to talking to everybody again next week.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun sharing this episode with you. If you found value in what you've heard, please show your love with a subscribe, rate, and review of the show. Until next time.